So in other words, the caseworker called into the hotline pretending to be an anonymous person, made a report against my sister, and got a brand new case open against her. I think she did that, in retaliation because of my sister meeting with the supervisors.
Let's take another call. Let's go to Sandra from the Evergreen State of Washington. Sandra, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Yes. Hello, Mr. Davis. I have a couple of questions to ask about my sister's CPS case in Washington. So the CPS worker was actually initially supposed to be investigating the father based on a report that the child made, but the caseworker did not follow proper procedures or do a proper investigation of the father. And then after she met with the father, he retaliated by making a false report about my sister and then getting the caseworker involved in his family court case where he was trying to take custody of her daughter. And so because of all this, my sister physically went into the CPS office and was meeting with the caseworker's supervisors, trying to clear this up. While she was physically meeting with the caseworker supervisors, while she was there meeting with the supervisors, the caseworker on the case literally called into the CPS hotline. So the caseworker called the CPS hotline pretending to be an anonymous, mandatory reporter and made a false report about my sister, herself, which, of course, then the dispatcher funneled back to the caseworker because she was the worker on the case. And then the caseworker opened a brand new report against my sister based on her own report. So, in other words, the caseworker, called into the hotline pretending to be an anonymous person, made a report against my sister, and got a brand new case open against her. I think she did that, in retaliation because of my sister meeting with the supervisors.
Hey, Sandra, if you have proof of that, what you should do, or what you and your sister should do, is go meet with a civil rights attorney in your area. Because that's tantamount to a violation of civil rights.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is that some kind of violation of civil rights, or would that be considered false reporting? And how do we find an attorney? Because we've looked on the, I heard you mention the attorney Rolodex. So we've looked on there and we can't find any attorneys in our area on there yet.
Right.
We're having a hard time finding an attorney that, will take a case against CPS.
Well, what you can do is, until we get more, that website just launched not too long ago. But what you can do is Google. Google knows everything. Google knows all. You should Google civil rights attorneys in your area. Now, don't expect to find, the first attorney that you call will take the case. That's not going to happen. You're going to have to call multiple people probably and meet with multiple people, at least on the phone, and explain what the case is about and what evidence you had. You see, I'm going to accept that your story, okay? But I do know in most states, I'm just licensed in California, but in most states, calls into a CPS hotline are confidential. So one of the things I would ask you is, how do you know it was the social worker that called? Right? You might suspect it. You might have a gut level feeling, but what evidence do you have? Did they tell you that it was her that called?
Well, she knows because of the CPS worker ended up getting involved in the family court case, and because of that, she got a copy of the CPS report. And there's also a lot of other false information in that report. And so she, if she's having a hard time finding an attorney, is there a process for correcting false information in the report? Or
I'm not sure. I can't comment on Washington law, but I know what you should do, and that is talk to an attorney, have an appointment with one. But whatever attorney you meet with, she or he is going to say, "Hey, what evidence do you have of that?" And I would bet $1 that the report that she has does not say who the caller was into the emergency hotline. That's almost confidential universally. Sandra?
Yes, I'm still listening to your information.
Okay. But there's nothing beats.
She does have proof of that, but I mean, is that, accepting that is, the facts, is that, illegal for the CPS worker to have done that if that is in fact true?
Well, as long as the allegations were false, yeah, that would be something that I would consider a violation of your sister's civil rights. You have a government employee making false allegations against someone, knowingly false allegations, that will start, or trigger a CPS investigation or a CPS case. So if you have evidence of that, you need to find a lawyer, like yesterday. But a lot of people I talk to, they tell me a story like that, and then when I, drill down, what happens is, well, I believe that because, that's my gut feeling, or that had to be the way because of these different circumstances. You can't walk into a federal court in this country and say, "Hey, I believe this to be true," and expect to win without any evidence of it.
Yes, I understand. We do have evidence, but I can't really talk about it over the radio.
Okay, I understand.
So I'm just asking the question without giving the actual evidence.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to assume it's true, and yeah, that would be a civil rights violation, and you need to talk to a civil rights lawyer in your state so that he or she can, take appropriate action.
So would just any civil rights attorney do that, though, or are there like certain kinds that do different things and they might not take CPS?
Right,
case?
That's true. That's true. You have to find one that will take a CPS case or that does CPS cases. Now that may be hard to find because in this state, there's not a lot of people that do those types of cases on a regular basis, right? I could probably name them on one or two hands. And you have a smaller state, a smaller population, so it might be harder to find someone. If you can't find someone after making maybe about 50 calls, you might want to reach out to a neighboring state, Oregon, California, to try to find a CPS civil rights attorney that is willing to take a case up in Washington.
But wouldn't they have to be licensed in Washington to take the case?
No. A California attorney, or just about any attorney, can apply to the Washington State Bar to appear in that state, what they call pro hoc vice. In other words, that state will just give you permission as an attorney to practice in that state for this one case. For just one case. Okay, so I've appeared in a case in Nevada, pro hoc vice. I've appeared in a case in Illinois, pro hoc vice. I'm involved in a case right now in Oregon, pro hoc vice. And I'm not licensed in any of those places, but there's a way to do it and a system to do it. But before you get into that, what I would do is I would call, in your state, all over your state. Every county in your state. Okay, Sandra?
Okay, thank you very much for your advice, Mr. Davis. I appreciate it.
Hey, Sandra, I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate you listening to our station. Keep listening, and maybe you can update us in a couple of months, all right?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to have to take another break. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS.